officers that understand how the judges do that knew that when the jury verdict came back not guilty, when we knew some of those officers were guilty, that somebody wanted problems in the community. Now maybe that's not the case. Maybe it was just the luck of the draw. The people just decided they weren't guilty, and that's just the way it is. But let's look and see what came out of the riots. Let's see what happened and the benefits to those that want a global community and want you subjected as into a caste society where it's the super rich elitists over the super poor, the commoners as we're called by them, how the LA riots benefited them. Okay, number one, once again, it created a lot of fear, didn't it, in the hearts and minds of all the American people, not just LA. Boy, look at the rise in fear across this nation. People during those riots were afraid to go out their own doors in New York City. Of course, there was riots there. There was some problems in Las Vegas and many places in the country. So they were able to create fear in the American people. And of course, if you don't know that this is a part of the plan, you will say, government, come save me. Government, you're our saviors. We are fearful. Come to us, government. We want more government. We want more police. We want more soldiers. Please save us, government. And that's what the American people pretty much did. You can see this because one of the basic problems for the world government people have been how to get American soldiers, how to get UN soldiers on the streets of America without the people complaining that it's against the Constitution, which it is. But how can we get them to give this up? So a test was done. With the LA riots, we had Pete Wilson, the governor of the state, we had Tom Bradley, and we had President Bush, all getting on television and saying, don't fear, we will use every police officer, we will use every National Guardsman, 27,000 in that area, and we will use these resources completely before we bring in the military on the streets of Los Angeles. 2 hours after the riots started, they had 2,000 Marines on the street in LA. Why was that? They wanted to see how the American people would react. It was a test. And guess what? We reacted the way they hoped we would react. Being that we don't know our Constitution any longer, and they have stopped teaching it in the government schools years ago, what they thought would happen happened. When the Marines hit the street of Los Angeles, because of the total fear of the people didn't say, wait a minute, you can't do that. They said, why didn't you come sooner, and why didn't you bring larger numbers of the military to our streets? So this is one of the most important things that came out of the LA riots, that they now know, or believe anyway, that they can do this anywhere in America, and the people won't even question it. Because if they create enough fear in the American people, they will accept anything just to be safe and peaceful. Another thing was very important to them. Tom Bradley has been surrounded by and a sympathizer for 4 or 5 communist parties in the Los Angeles area. As a matter of fact, 4 communist parties in the Los Angeles area participated in the riots, the looting, and everything to stoke. As a matter of fact, a year before, they were working in the community, 4 communist groups that were working to try to inflame the minorities to where, if they had the opportunity, they would provoke riots in that area. And it just so happens the Rodney King case came about. The officers not knowing that they would perpetuate what had been long planned to give impetus to a riot in that part of the country. But one of the greatest benefits for Tom Bradley himself and the Communist Party in Los Angeles is that they got rid of Chief Gates. Now this is important because Chief Gates was standing in the way purposely of martial law, a program for a national police force. He had been against the Citizens Review Board. Tom Bradley, being a socialist himself, his job was to create a citizens review board in Los Angeles. He did that, but not without the wails and the cries and the attempts by Chief Gates to keep it out. He was able to do that, and he put in charge of it one of the people, head of the ACLU, who helped destroy the files from the Internal Investigations Branch of the Los Angeles Police Department that had millions of files on communists in the United States. He made a police commissioner one of these people that was active in one of the communist parties there in the LA area. And so Tom Bradley wanted Chief Gates gone because they had brought to the Los Angeles Police Department a program called CALEA. Some of you have heard me speak about that before, the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. This is the train track that runs the train of the National Police Force. They're laying the track with something called CALEA. CALEA may be in your police department here. You need to check and see if it is. If it isn't, keep it out. If it is, get rid of it. Educate the people in this area. We can help you with that because we're putting out documentation on CALEA. In the months ahead, there'll be a book out on it a few months from now that you can present to your city council, but if it's not here, keep it out. It's Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. It's being sold as, if your police department is not in CALEA, it's not a professional law enforcement agency. And so, if you want a professional law enforcement agency, which everybody wants a professional law enforcement agency, you got to have CALEA. And all it is, folks, is they standardize every policy and procedure of everything the police do to where each department in the United States, if it's standardized, every policy and procedure, every department can be ran from a local or from a central location somewhere in the United States, in the UN, or anywhere in the world. This means that an order can be given one morning at 5 o'clock in the morning that the police departments in every small town and community throughout the United States must go out and round up certain dissidents in the community. And at 5:30 that morning, every police officer from New York City to Los Angeles will react and do the same task at the same time, commit the same act on the East Coast and the West Coast and all in between. And so this came to the Los Angeles Police Department 4 times. Chief Gates says, I don't want it. We've got a letter here that's on our table there. You might want to get the letter from Chief Gates that's on our table out there, where he talked to us, Officer Dalton, myself, and the American Citizens Law Association, through his letter saying why he didn't want CALEA in there, because he feared the National Police Force. And so 4 times he chased him out of the LAPD. Tom Bradley went ballistic because, of course, as one of his tasks, by being a member of the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, and being a member of the Trilateral Commission, which are both globalist societies in the United States, his job was to see to it CALEA got in there and other programs that promoted globalism in Los Angeles. So they used the riots to smear Chief Gates and say it was all his fault that these things happened, when the plan was to foment the riots to begin with and be sure they occurred so that they could reap these benefits that we've just talked about. And Chief Gates, we asked him not to retire, to fight it, but he wrote back to us and says, well, I'm just tired of it. He's been fighting the socialists there and the communists for years that are in the administration of the city, and I guess he's just worn out. He'd been there for years. And so he told us, Jack, no, I'm leaving. I'm looking forward to retirement. I'm getting out. And he did. And he's now a radio talk show in L.A., a talk show host in L.A., and I hear he's doing wonderful. So we're happy for him. He's put up a valiant fight for years. And he's an officer we're proud of in many ways. Now, you've probably heard things. Yeah. You probably heard some negative things about Chief Gates, as I did. There's certain things he did I don't like, but that's okay. We all disagree at times. And so, but basically he was a thorn in their side, like some other of us officers are trying to be. And he did it for years, and he stood the test, and we're just proud to have had him serve the American people like he did for so long. Well,